Welcome to another podcast with Mike O'Brien and John Kamara. I got John here today and we're going to be talking about aftercare. John, what is the problems with aftercare? Because obviously we've just identified a number of problems in the last week since I've been down at your place in relation to a
Well, I
number of
mean, the
people.
aftercare, as you know, Mick, started when I won my appeal in March 2000. The cameras followed me with Louise Shorter. It was called Life After Life, and it was to do with a miscarriage when he comes out of the Court of Appeal. Because there's no aftercare, there's no, you can't get benefits, you're just thrown out when them judges squash the conviction. They give me £46.73, and it's sort of like, get on with it, make your own way. I've never been in London before, and it was like they give me a travel warrant, which obviously I knew that was to get me wherever, and they said because you was arrested in Liverpool, the travel warrant is for Liverpool. And we've given you a travel card, which you've got to get on the tube. And I said, I'm thinking, what's a tube? I've never been to London. And they said, it expires at midnight. And I'm thinking, I'm getting thrown out here, nowhere to live, nowhere to go. And they're giving me this. Obviously, I refused to go. I told them, I'm not going, I haven't got anywhere to live. Next thing, my lawyer came in and she said, somebody wants to talk to you. And obviously it was Paddy from the Birmingham Six. He lived in London, and I found out he was helping miscarriages, and I went to stay there. And I stayed there for a couple of months, and then obviously I left. But as you know, a miscarriage, who we both know, he was having problems. He contacted me, asked him, could he get the help? I put him in touch with you, and you spoke to him. But in the meantime, the only people, there was the miscarriages at the Royal Court of Justice, which they were set up to help people like me, you, this, as they call them, clients, him and other miscarriages.
Yeah.
At that time, I phoned up the organisation Paddy set up in Scotland, Mojo, and I talked to Kathy. I explained that I was concerned about this miscarriage person. She said, give me the details, John. And I gave her the details, and she got in touch with him. He then phoned me and said, thanks, John. Mojo's offered to take me up to Scotland to see if they can get me help. What do you think? I said, look, go. Yeah. He said, she's coming down to meet me. I said, go, just go. They'll get you the help. He said, okay. And then I found out he spoke to you about it. And he agreed to go up. I got told by Kathy, she said, I'll let you know what happens, John. They got him a counsellor. He's seen a counsellor. He was there for a week. She said, he's fine, John. He's going back to England. But unfortunately, he's not a Scottish case, but we will help him. And he's now doing counselling on the phone. And it's helping him. Now, obviously, I feel we should find out about the to see how he could have got in touch with these people himself. And
I think that's an interesting point.
Obviously, I haven't got a number to phone them, so I'm going to phone that 118, is it?
Yeah. Let's see what help is available, John. It'll be very interesting to find out.
Yeah.
Number chargeable. Thank you for calling 118118. Calls with our agents are recorded.
Hi, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm looking for a number for the Miscarriage of Justice Support Service in London, please.
Miscarriage support in London.
Yes.
See? And it was justice of support. There's no telephone number coming up for miscarriage justice of support in London.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for that.
Is there any other number I could get for you?
No, it's okay. Thank you very much. You just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
calling.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, John, well, that's a turn up for the books. There's not even a number where you can contact them. I
Well, I
find that
mean-
very odd indeed.
I mean, as you know, we've just phoned the 118. That's like the director, isn't it? They have all the numbers.
Yeah, direct inquiries.
Now,
yes.
obviously, if I came out today, and let's say they meet me, and then they put me somewhere, and obviously, if I'm having problems, and I need to phone them, well, how am I going to do it? There's no number. Obviously, the only way I think I could get in touch is if I go on the internet.
But not everybody's got the internet, John.
No.
And I noticed there was an email address so I seen earlier on.
Yeah.
But actually, there's no number.
I mean, as you know, I've been out 22 years and I don't know how to send an email. Because I'm thinking, all I can do is phone. Now, if there's no number, how am I going in touch? And the only way I think I could get in touch is if I can find a miscarriage of justice person who's been out and I can contact him. Maybe he knows how I can get support. And it just goes to show you that the one who contacted us, we had to send them up to Scotland. And they get funding for Scottish prisoners, obviously, but they went out the way to take literally one of our cases, and the government has set up funding for the miscarriage of justice unit. Now, obviously, I have been on that unit, and the last time I went on it, there was 8 people. Now, obviously, I'm thinking these are all miscarriages.
Yeah.
But the vibes I got from them was these were convicted prisoners. Because I started to ask them, what are you in for? When did you get your appeal? Was you a criminal case review commission?
Oh, you were
Referral.
first appealer, yeah.
When was your appeal? They wouldn't answer me. Not one of them answered me. And the lady, is it Lamb, the one who was, set up this?
Yeah.
She said, John, you can't ask them, it's confidential. And I said, fuck you, confidential. I'm asking them. And then I thought to myself, well, I'm going to find out now. So I sat down, and what it was, we were like, you had a white piece of paper. You were all sitting like on a desk. They give you a crayon, a fucking crayon. I'm thinking, what are we doing houses? Like kids have.
Yeah.
And she's supposed to say, put your ideas down. And I thought, I'm not having this. And I thought, I know how I'll find out if there's any miscarriages here. I'm going to put them to a fucking test. And I said, if there's any miscarriages in this room, stand up. Unfortunately, I stood up. I was the only one standing up. And I went, fuck this. And she said, John, I said, yes, fuck you. And I walked out and I haven't been back since.
Well, it's cause for concern when the money was there to help victims of miscarriages of justice. What has it got to do with guilty people? Why are guilty people being invited to these conferences when it's nothing to do with them? They're a separate identity,
I know, and as you know, I didn't get it up, but I got it up this morning. Their website, and honest, Mick, I looked on their website, and as you screen it, it had courts, it had convicted prisoners, it had photographs of 5 screws or fucking happy smiling. There was not one photograph of a miscarriage of justice person coming out of the Court of Appeal. I couldn't see anything to do with aftercare, nothing at all. And obviously, I remember going down to Wales when we did the last podcast, and it was, what was the lady's name?
Denise, we'll call her Denise.
Right.
She's from the Merthyr Girls case.
Yeah.
She was wrongly convicted, John, and then about 4 years for something she didn't do. And when she come out, and what she said to us at the in the last meeting, she didn't even know the miscarriages support service existed,
No, because
and
when
that's worrying.
when I asked her, have you had any support, she said, what's that about? And I told her, and she said, no. And I think she told me when she was out. Was it 90?
I'm not sure
in
what
the
they-
in late 90s, and she was quite shocked. And I told her, I said, they're supposed to contact you, because that's what they said. Any miscarriage of justice person who's been out previously will get a letter offering support, and they were quite shocked, and I was shocked actually. I mean, me personally, I just think they're getting the money. They were very good and active when we first come out. Oh, they couldn't, do
Yeah,
enough.
they were good. I mean, they've helped me a lot. I'm not
But
going to
then
say they haven't.
all of a sudden, they've brought in the prisoners and they've pushed us out. And I believe when they have their annual meeting, there is not one miscarriage of justice person there, and that's why I have stopped going there. They've sent me an email asking, John, could you give us your ideas, because we want your ideas? And I just said, I'm sending them bugger all, and I am not going there anymore.
So what do you think should be put in place, John? Obviously, from both of our point of view, I've got my own views on
I think what should be put in place is, it doesn't matter, they should have a miscarriage of justice person working with them so they can talk to the miscarriage people when they come out, because and I know, Mick, we can only open up to another miscarriage who's been in that situation, and that's it. They can't talk to these people, and now I know they won't talk to these people because they're not getting the help. How can you say to the government, we're doing this, we're doing that, when they're doing nothing for us? And obviously, Mojo, and now they're doing Scottish. It looks like they're trying to help or put our miscarriage of justice people in the right direction. I mean, I just found it disgusting, actually.
Well, I'd like to add my own views, John. I mean, when I came out in '98, there was no help. I mean, I didn't get help until 3 years later, which is in 2001, when the Miscarriage of Justice Support Service was set up. And I was sort of damaged more by that. I think it's important that we, before they go to the Court of Appeal, the Miscarriage of Justice Support Service, if they're in prison, should go in and see them.
Yeah.
And, start making plans for the appeal, because if they come out, then obviously things need to be put in place quite quickly.
Yeah.
That's my take on what I think. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Or,
I agree with it. I mean, I agree with anything you're saying, Nick, about we need the support. I mean, they're not even giving the women the support who are wrongly convicted. They're not even letting the women know that they exist. And when I went to Wales, I mean, that lady was quite shocked. she was quite shocked, and she said, I do need that report. And now I'm opening up to you two because you understand what I've been through.
Yeah.
And I can only talk to someone who's been in that same situation as I have. And Mick, this has been going on now. I believe they've had this for 20 years. And they've done, well, my eyes, I think they've done nothing. They've took the money off the government and they've used us to get that money. And, well, you know.
Well, things have certainly got to change, and I'm certainly going to raise at the next meeting they have our concerns, because I think we both should do that as victims of miscarriages of justices who support other people like Denise. I mean, we also mustn't forget that there's a number of people who have died because they haven't had the support.
Yeah.
You know, Annette is a case in point.
Wayne
Darvell, yeah.
Sean
Hodgson. You've got Kevin Callan.
Yeah.
The list is getting endless now.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it sounds like, I know I shouldn't say it, but them people, when they were in prison, they were fighters, they were, you know, and I've met some of them as yourself has, and we were fighters. We come out, and I believe half of them deaths are caused by, they've just give up. They just give up. There's no help, and they've just give up.
well, it's a sad state of affairs when we're talking in 2022, John, about people who could have been still here with us if they would have had the right care, the right packages. And I believe, I don't know what you think about this, we should have the same treatment as the hostages in Beirut, where when they come out of prison, they get debriefed, they get psychological help straight away, without delay. They bring the families involved to a degree, you know what I mean, to support them.
And it's not just that. I mean, let's face it. If me and you now came out unlicensed,
we get all the help in the world.
We got all the help. We'd even have a probation officer. We'd get unemployment. We'd get everything. All the benefits would be there. And obviously, maybe rightly so on some cases where lifers come out and they get it. But, you know, to just keep us in, men and women, because a lot of people just think it's men who are wrongly convicted. Well, there's a hell of a lot of women, which, as you know, you're going to be interviewing some women who are out today, and we get nothing. We get nothing, and they get nothing. But if you're guilty, I'm sorry, Mick, but you get all the help that's going.
Well, you know, I've seen myself, you know what I mean, the last 20 odd years I've been out, you know, the difficulties we all face. You know, and when you consider, you know, people like Denise who needs help and she's not getting it, and you've got to ask the question, why are they not helping, John?
But obviously, when we bring it up, I mean, the other thing is, you say, you can go into any Citizens Advice Bureau office and they will know. I went into my local one. The woman didn't even have a clue what I was on about. And I said, that's what they say. She said, but we don't know. We've never been informed. And I said, you've got to phone them. She said, who do we phone? I just walked out.
Well, we need to bring in some changes, John, and I'm hoping this podcast will bring attention to all the issues we have raised today, and let's hope, you know, with some MPs' help and, you know, other people,
I mean,
that we can bring
where
about
you
change.
say MPs, obviously I showed you today, which we will be using at the talks, the 2 letters I got from Mr. Suffield. I mean, Mr. Suffield was, you know, obviously his son got murdered. He wrote to the ministers saying, you cannot throw this man out without any support. I mean, that was the...
And Mr. Suffield was the one you were wrongly accused of, John. You know,
it was his son.
Yes.
It was the father.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, for 20 years, that man, maybe rightly so, took his anger out on me for the death of his son. And then when he found out by the TV people, my lawyers, he started to literally campaign. I was still in prison at the time, to campaign for them to do something. He even contacted the Merseyside Probation Service, and they were even saying, okay, we're not supposed to do it, but we will. But then they got back to him and he said, unfortunately, if Mr. Kamara wins his appeal, we cannot help him. For him to get help, he would have to commit a crime. And then maybe the courts will put him on probation and then we could help him.
So in other words, John, in a nutshell, innocent people get treated quite badly by the system.
Yeah.
As we know, when we come out, we get treated quite appallingly. Where we get charged for our bed and board, as you know. I mean, that just adds insult to all the other injuries.
As you know, Mick,
you know,
I got charged £75,000 for board and lodgings. And I mean, I know what you got charged with, and they charge at the time every one of us, and what they do, it's sort of, here's your offer, but here's the condition. If you refuse that condition, it's going to take you about 5 years to take us to court, and we will have to tell your barrister you've got this lump sum. They stop your legal aid, and the barrister will take his fees
out of your
out
compensation.
of your compensation.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing to mention, John, is 37,000 they took off me, 37,500 if my memory serves me correct. And I mean, guilty people don't get charged for these things.
No, because the answer they give us is guilty people, because they are guilty and they've accepted the sentence, they say that's what they get. They don't need to charge them.
So we get penalised twice.
Yeah.
For the same offence, even though we got acquitted on all charges.
Yeah.
Which is outrageous.
And I'm not being funny. I mean, they say board and lodgings. I mean, they kept me in some disgusting hotel rooms then. Or I wouldn't live like that if. But obviously, I was put in that position. I started a family. I needed to get a place, and I didn't want to. Believe you, Nick, I would have fought it. But having small children, that
changes your things.
That changes it,
yeah,
and
it does.
I didn't want to, but I had to accept it. I had to accept that I give the government £75,000 of my compensation. And then the worst thing was, they said, if anybody takes them to court and they win, Mr. Kamara will get it back on 1% interest. So.
Well, as you know, John, I didn't accept it. I was very angry about the whole situation. And myself and Vincent Hickey and Michael Hickey, who were part of the Carl Bridgewater,
yeah.
who were wrongly convicted, we took it all the way to the House of Lords. And in all their wisdom, the House of Lords said, well, yeah, of course they can deduct bed and board. You would have had to pay that on the outside anyway. I mean, the headlines hit all around the world on the bed and board case. It hit China, even the Sun newspaper, which I haven't got no time for, actually supported us and said how appalling it was. So that tells a different story. But slightly changing the subject now to campaigning, John, because obviously there's a lot of people out there, and we noticed that when we went to the Jeremy Bamber campaign the other day. Not many people know how to actually campaign. How did you campaign, John, and what did you do when you were in prison?
Obviously, it's well documented that I campaigned. I spent 16 years in solitary confinement to campaign myself, because obviously the only person really is my family were, but obviously if I said to my brothers and my sisters, will you do this today, will you do this today, they'd put, yes, but they'll put it off. My mum was, she could try and help me, and I thought the only way I'm going to do it is I'll do it myself. And I did, and I wrote, and I wrote. And don't get me wrong, mate, as you know, I never met yourself
No, I know.
in the prison, but I heard about you. And other innocent people used to say, look, John, we've got a campaign. Is there anything my mum or my dad could put in a newsletter? Then that's how I started. I would give them the stuff, they would do it for me. And I was getting a bit of publicity that way. And then it was Eddie Guilfoyle. And he said, John, my sister set up a Merseyside, against injustice. You're from Merseyside. It's a little newsletter. We'll mention you. And then, it started to get recognised in Merseyside. But I was the main one to do it. I let them carry on, do what they want. I did my campaign. Obviously, people,
You wrote to a lot of MPs, John, and all, didn't you?
well, every MP, every House of Lords, judges, European, even the American Senate, I got letters off.
So what was their response, John?
Um,
Did you have a lot of support?
I did actually, and the most ones who supported me, I hate saying it, was the Tories.
The Conservatives?
Yeah, and the main one was the ex. Oh, that's not coming from me. The main one was the ex MP Prime Minister Teddy. First it was being Mr. Kamara, and because he was there for about helping me for like 10, 12 years, it started getting personal fucking name terms, you know what I mean? Dear John, and I mean, I did take it out, I would go, oh yeah, you're a fucking Tory. But, he did do a lot, and it was, don't get me wrong, a lot of Labour, but the majority of Labour were all Merseyside, even if I wasn't from their constituency, which I found a lot of people who was writing to MPs was, I can't help you, you're not from my constituency. And guys were saying, well, John, you've got MPs from all over constituencies helping you. I said, look, it's just, if he helps me, you can write to him, but he mightn't help you. I don't know. I don't know why it is, but yeah, a lot of people, that's it.
Well, some of the things which worked in my case, John, what I want to share with people.
Yeah.
You've got to write to your MP. You've got to try and get your MP on board. I think that's
Yeah.
first and foremost,
Yeah.
because if you've got your MP on board, then questions can be asked in Parliament. They can write letters to the Home Office, saying why they think you're innocent. I mean, it's very important. But also to get the local press involved, I found, John.
And I found that was
and that was very significant for me.
But when we went to the Jeremy Bamber one on the Sunday, I mean, people support there. I mean, I remember when we turned up late, me, you, and must admit, Barbara Stone, Michael Stone's sister.
Who was also wrongly convicted.
Yeah, and she helped, obviously she helped the brother, no sister is not going to, and then obviously, and the thing is, she helps other people. She talks at other meetings. And I remember when we got out the car, and she asked 3 people who were from the village where the Jeremy Bamber campaign was, where the meeting was. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised, I think Barbara was surprised when they went, we don't know, but it sounds very interesting. And that was 3 people when we walked there. And I remember we went in and we listened to it, and then I think they had a break, and I think they went on a tour of, the area to show the others where it happened. We didn't go, I wouldn't go. And then I remember we said, well, we'll go to the pub, and I remember we walked up and we seen them. I said, oh look, there's fellas dancing in the street. It was the Morris dancers, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, John. Yeah, there was a number of them.
With the sticks and fucking hats on their head and the bells on their knees. And it was okay. And I remember we got the drinks sat outside, and a lady was talking to Barbara. And she said, oh, I've got a 3 Jeremy Bamber t-shirts on, which I found quite disturbing. I didn't like it, what she said. And I remember Barbara said, well, why don't you put it on? So remember the lady, she said, you two gentlemen,
Turn away.
turn away. And I was going, oh, bloody hell. And obviously she changed it. And it was on it in gold letters, free Jeremy Bamber is innocent. And I found it quite shocking when she said, members of the Jeremy Bamber campaign said to her, if you go in the pub, turn that inside out, we don't want to, well, get the haters to come out. Well, I find that quite strange, to tell you the truth, Mick.
Well, I was quite surprised as well, because when you consider the event was held in Essex, where it all happened, I find that very worrying myself, and I will be making representations, on our behalf to exercise that.
I mean,
concerns.
I know me and Barbara, because you're going back to Wales today, I was talking to Barbara. I've got to phone Libby Hyde and asked her, me and Barbara want to come up a weekend, Saturday or a Sunday. Now, don't forget, Barbara's got a brother's case, and she's willing to give a day. I'm willing to give a day. We're not taking over the campaign. We want to guide them what to do, because Barbara was, and I think some of them were quite shocked when Barbara said, where's your leaflets? And as I can say, Mick, when we walked into the venue, there was nothing about Jeremy's campaign, there was nothing about the case, who was there. I mean, there was no media. And I was thinking to myself, what is this? Is it a private meeting or is it a public meeting? If it was a public meeting, that hall should have been packed. They should have been out on the street. And I don't know,
Do you think it was a missed opportunity, maybe?
Yeah, it was well missed. And obviously, I don't think they realised. I know they offered you to go. Well, I think they were quite shocked when me and Barbara turned up. And I know Barbara, she asked a question, she put her hand up, and I threw her up. I said, go on, fucking get up there. And she looked at me, but when she looked, she was walking. So I thought, there's no turning back. And obviously she said she thought she was coming to walk on the beach. And when she got up, when she talked, no disrespect to them, but Barbara took over. She did. They were listening, they were asking questions, and she just told them, you need the publicity. You need to get the leaflets out. You need to hand them out, put them everywhere. And
You think lessons can be learned from this, from the missed opportunities, John? Do you think in future, that we could put it to them?
I know.
Sort of go forward, because I think.
Yeah. But like I say, mate, I don't want to take over Jeremy Bamber's campaign, but me and Barbara, and I know you would have been with us because you've got to go back today, but me and Barbara, we can talk to them and say, if your next meeting, get them leaflets out there. Don't be worried that you might upset, the ones what say, oh, he's guilty, blah, blah, blah. But you've got a chance to show them people he's innocent. Do you know what I mean?
And we'll reach a wider audience, which is very, very important.
Obviously we can go up Saturday or a Sunday, give them the advice. It's up to them if they do it. If they don't do it, then there's nothing we can do. But I will still go to his meetings and give him support. But I think if I do go, I think I have a right to say, I think your campaign is a good one, but you're
misguided on some points, and you should take on board.
At the end of the day, right, Nick, the guy's sitting in fucking jail anyway. And I didn't like it when she said, Jeremy runs the campaign, and as you know, you're going to write to him, Nick. and you can put a little message from me, and unfortunately the little message would be, look, Jeremy, you can't do it. You're in prison, so shut the fuck up. Let us, we're not taking over, but let us guide them, because at the end of the day, I met Jeremy in jail, and he should know, well, okay, he should say to his campaigners, take their advice.
Well, we're proven miscarriages of
Yeah.
justice, John. We're sitting here
Yeah.
today.
I'm not saying I'm not having a go at them,
No,
just to,
I understand that.
we'll help you, and if you want to get the press out, and as you said, no, Mick, the next meeting, I'll bring about 6 fucking miscarriages of justice people there for support. And if they get the press, we can say, yeah, we support Jeremy Bamber. Or any other fucking case, not just, Michael Stone. We support Michael Stone. And we support the fella who's only got his mum or the woman, where they're not high profile cases. We'll turn up there and say, yeah, we support her, is that or him, and just get them to go, because obviously we'll have to tell them when he comes out or she comes out, they're going to need support, and there's none for them.
Well, that's where the aftercare again, we come back
Pops
to the
up
same
again.
issues we raised earlier, that aftercare is got to be paramount for all victims of miscarriages of justice. When they come out of that court of appeal, there should be things already in place to make sure that, that there's, like when I come out, there was nothing there at all. I mean, we can have that situation again.
Yeah, I mean,
we need, they're going to need specialist help,
yeah,
psychiatrists.
and a lot of, I think the miscarriage of justice, what the government set up, they should realise.
But it's just not good enough, John,
It started the day I came out. That was set up when I came out. Just, which Louise Shorter, she got, told her bosses. And Mick, as you know, it started filming the day I walked out. And then obviously the case in Wales, the Wayne Darvell, I know that case, Wayne Darvell, that really got the aftercare.
Well, let's explain about the Wayne Darvell. The 2 Darvell brothers is a case from Wales where they were wrongly convicted of a sex shop manageress. I mean, they were wrongly convicted. They made a number of false confessions. They were very vulnerable at the time. And, it was clear from the very off. I mean, Rough Justice done a programme, didn't they, John?
Yeah.
When they got out, you followed it up, and they had no help when they first come out. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say, I think that both of them have passed away, John.
Yeah, because
which is sad.
I got a message off the niece of both of them actually. And she said, John, you did the aftercare programme. And she said, I've heard about my 2 uncles. Have you got the video? I can watch it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't send it to her, and it was on my Facebook, and I told her to look at it, and she looked at it. And I mean, I was thinking, oh my God, she doesn't know. And for her to see her uncle like that, and I mean, and the thing is about it is, she phones me now and she says, John, can you please use that clip to show them what's happened? As Nettie, the daughter, contacted me, and his daughter.
That's Annette Hewings.
Yeah,
we're talking about,
and the daughter, she said, John, when you interviewed my mum, I was 8 years old, and I mean, Mick, that was one of the worst interviews I've done. I couldn't stop it. She just poured it out. I mean, the one about where she was pregnant, I mean, that just got me.
Well, we're going to go into that in a later podcast, aren't we, John?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be interviewing some women miscarriages of justice. I think it's very important to remember it's not all men who get wrongly convicted. I mean, there's the case of Angela Canning, Sarah Clark, Sally Clark, Annette Hewins, Denise Sullivan, Donna Donna Clark as well. I mean, there's a raft of people who've been wrongly convicted,
I
which we need
mean,
to look at.
and I think what is it? You're gonna call it the forgotten women? Well, they are forgotten.
Yeah, they are forgotten. I mean, the classic example is Denise Sullivan, who needs aftercare now, which we identified
Yeah.
she didn't know anything
Yeah.
about the aftercare program in London. I mean, she's been out a number of years now, and she still hasn't had no aftercare. And it was only because well, especially you, brought it to our attention that there is some sort of aftercare there, albeit it needs to be expanded upon in great detail. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And more money needs to be focused on the genuine innocent people.
Yeah.
And she was quite shocked by that.
Yeah.
So we are going to be talking about things like that.
Well, I mean,
Is there anything else you want to say, John?
no, I mean, obviously before we finish, because obviously you've got your little lad's causing havoc in the house, and obviously no, he's being beautiful. I mean, I know you was worried about him when we went to the Jeremy, and my partner took him out. I mean, it like you wasn't here, Nick, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's run round the garden, which you see, the fucking big garden, and trampoline, and and I think my partner, she even said, anytime you want to come, you can come here, which is good, know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's good. It's good to be here with you and your family, John, because I can see, you got a family life here. Unfortunately, my marriage split up. I haven't got that family life, but I got my son living with me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you take the positives
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
negatives. You know what I mean?
And
you
you know
move
you-
forward.
And you know yourself, mate, we all help each other, because we are like a family.
That's the thing. We're unique in the sense,
Yeah.
there's not thousands and thousands of us,
Yeah.
but there is a number of us
Yeah.
who have come out, and we feel for each other.
Yeah.
We know the pain. I don't
Yeah.
have to tell you what I went through, because you
know.
already know what I
know.
went through. You don't have to explain to me. You can tell when you're having a bad day. You
Yeah.
probably know when I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
And we just work through it, and that's what it's all about.
So I just feel like after that, I mean, obviously, we just put it out there. Hopefully we can get now the miscarriage of justice unit to maybe meet us again and meet us with other miscarriages and say, right, because if they don't, then I'm sorry, Mick, but it looks like I'm going to have to start writing letters again to MPs, and I will show them this, where to say, we cannot even get a phone number to
Very
contact
worrying.
them.
I didn't realise, John, that there was no actual phone number. The only thing I can say for the MJSS, the Miscarriage Support Service, is when you do engage with them, when you do manage to get hold of them, they give you a mobile number you can phone. But that's not fair to the people who are trying to get hold of them. How many people have been trying to get hold of them? Like Denise,
Yeah.
because she didn't know it first of all. Now she knows. But if she went to phone them now,
She wouldn't get through.
she wouldn't get. There's no number, as
And
you
then
say.
what's she going to do? She's going to contact me and go, that group or organisation you've given me, how do we do it? Then it looks like Kathy Malloy in Mojo, she's going to get bombarded now with our miscarriages of justice when there's funding set up and we're not getting it.
Well, the funding should be specifically for what it was set out to be.
Yeah, well,
which
it's
is
not,
innocent
is it?
people. And I agree with you there, John. And if there's any deviation from that, then that has to be looked at. I think it should be looked
Yeah.
at as a matter of urgency.
Yeah.
But no, it's always good to speak to you on the podcast. We've
Yeah.
got some other podcasts coming up.
So what I'll do is I'll contact Jeremy Bamber's people. Hopefully me and Barbara can go up this weekend, guide them. They take the advice from Barbara, and then next time we go up to one of their meetings, there'll be the locals involved, and then the locals can ask us questions, because I believe a lot of them were quite shocked when me, you, and Barbara told them what happens to us. Because we all know Jeremy's going to need counselling.
It was serious. 37 years he's done.
And Michael Stone's
Wow.
going to need counselling. And I know they say we don't need it. We're sort of, listen, it's when everybody fucks up and they're on their own and they're sitting there.
The anger and depression sets
Then that's
in.
when we'll get the phone call.
Yeah.
And next thing, Jeremy or Michael will be sitting here with us in the garden going, I get no fucking aftercare. I mean, I think we should just end it on that note.
Well, thanks very much for joining us. And we will be in, we will get this up as soon as possible to go with all the other podcasts we've done. Check out the next podcast. We're hoping to interview Denise Sullivan from the Merthyr Girls case. It was a case where a woman and a child was burnt in a fire. They were wrongly convicted of it. There was 3 of them, Annette Hewins and Donna Clark. Very, very interesting case. Clearly innocent. They did get their names cleared. But as you know, as the old saying is, they say there's no smoke without fire. Unfortunately, that's the way people look at it. And we're going to put all the myths about the case to bed, because there is new evidence in that particular case which proves all three girls were innocent. So look out for that. We'll be putting stuff on Facebook and Twitter about the podcast. Check out what we have to say, and we'll speak to you soon.